Halos in the rain, ghosts of lovers call my name. Velvet darkness on your skin, pull me deeper into sin. Every touch a slow decay, every promise strips away. In your eyes I see the flame, calling softly through the pain.
Reigns.
Let the chaos reign tonight, lost between the dark and light. Hearts collide inside the flame, no salvation in the game. Let the chaos take control, feel the thunder in your soul. In the silence of the pain, let the chaos reign. Chaos reign. Let the chaos reign tonight, lost between the dark and light. Hearts collide inside the flame, no salvation in the game. Let the chaos take control, feel the thunder in your soul. In my silence of the pain, let the chaos reign. Kings may fall, crowns may break. Love is just a sweet mistake. In the ruins we remain, breathing fire through the pain. Let the chaos reign tonight, heaven burning out of sight. In the ashes we remain. Let the chaos reign. Let the darkness take control. Feel the thunder in your soul. Through the fire and the pain, let the chaos reign. In the shadows, let the chaos reign.
All right, guys. All right. Welcome, guys, to another edition, another special broadcast here. As you know, going through this book, Busted. Now, I mean busting in a good way, nonetheless. For those that's going to catch the replay of this will be good. As you know, I've gone for the first two chapters. We're going to continue on with this book. And we'll move forward with chapter 3 and maybe chapter 4. So those that's present or around, make sure you guys, when you come into the video stream, hit the like button and subscribe. And then put this here so everybody can know. All right. And I'll just post this here so you guys can see. All right. Let me get myself nice in position. I don't know if anybody really saw the first half of this book or the first readings. If you haven't, please go back to the replay of this. and replay of the previous broadcast of this. Let's begin. Let us begin. Yes, Busted. And I kind of like the title Busted because it really says something, a message, a very much subliminal message. And it really is telling right now. All right. Okay. Oh, and let me make sure everything is good on my end because I got to double check because I did this on the last minute. And I want to make sure people are able to see the video. Yeah, they should be able to see the video. And like always, hit the like button. And after this, if you stay longer, there's something else I want to add on to this. Okay, let's begin. And put my mic close to the mic. Yeah, it should be close enough. Chapter 3, Latex Allergies and Abrasions. And what's this? There's a message here. In the last decade, there has been a tremendous increase in the report of adverse allergic reactions from the natural rubber latex products used in the healthcare field. One of the reasons for the widely reported latex allergies is attributed to the increased use of natural rubbers, latex products, mainly gloves, since the emergence of deadly disease such as acquired immune syndrome, which y'all know what that is, hepatitis, etc. And this is from Abraham and Ramesh. That's a little subtitle. Exposing the inherent toxicity of latex proteins. And I didn't know this. This is some new information. When one begins to explore the issues of latex condoms safely, one of the first revelations is the provision or preventivism of latex allergies. It is estimated that 6 million people in the United States have demonstrated allergies to latex proteins. Allergic reactions to latex can include such distributions symptoms as rashes, hives, dermatitis, anaphylaxis, anaphylaxis, difficulties breathing, and shock-like state, and even death, which is very rare, but okay. Very rare indeed. Further, latex allergies are linked to even causes of several food allergies, including avocado, bananas, chestnut, kiwi, milk, pineapples, potato, and tomatoes. Oh, what? Oh my God, milk. That's not good. Milk? Do you know most of the American Western diet is composed of dairy? Matter of fact, let me double check what is the natural diet of milk in the United States, because that's a big one. Milk. Because milk is in every product. And latex does this. That's a big problem. Okay. Before I continue, I gotta look this one up about milk. Okay. Milk plays a significant, though declining, roles in the American diet. Americans consume roughly 230 kilograms, 507 pounds of milk and dairy products per person per year. But most of the now come from cheese, yogurt, and butter, not fluid drink milk. Okay. And the total is 661 pounds per person per year of 2023 on milk equivalent basis. This includes cheese, yogurt, butter, and other dairy products. Daily consumptions have grown 6% over 30 years, even though drinking milk keeps falling. Fluid milk. The milk people drink. America drink much less milk than they used to per capita. Fluid milk consumption has fallen by more than 50 pounds since 2010. What American consumes instead of cheese is at a all-time high, 42 per pounds. 42 pounds per person in 2023, and the highest even recorded. And these are the demographics. The demographics of milk consumptions. How companies comprise. United States, like I said, is 230.3. The highest is Denmark, 395.7. So it's declined, but cheese going up. But the problem people don't understand, to get cheese is made off milk. And I don't want to take this as a bio of products, but I'm looking at more of this. Fluid milk. And it said, why is there a shift for people not drinking as much milk, but now eating cheese more and butter still on high? Well, it says that people prefer cheese and fast food, snacks, and cooking, more butter used in home cook and baking. Growth of specific dairies, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, etc. Decline drinking milk due to alternate almond, oat, soy, and changing habits. And we're not going further than that because that gives us enough information about why milk is somewhat the staple supplement, which really is a decline. But we have to keep in mind milk is a byproduct of any other products from yogurt, cheese, butter. So if you're allergic to if the latex condoms does this to your body and it gives you these allergic reactions, that's a problem. But anyhow, let's keep going. An article that appears in the February 1995 issue of the AIDS Alert entitled Latex Allergies Reach Epidemic Proportions brought many of the controversial findings of latex allergies to my attention. I have been aware of several years that doctors and nurses were having difficulty wearing latex gloves because of these allergies. But upon reading the article in the AIDS Alert, I realized that what I knew about latex allergies was merely the tip of the huge and disturbing iceberg. The reports, which had many devastating revelations, read in part, and this is what it read in following. Complaints of adverse reactions to condoms, reports to the U.S. Food and Drug Administration include dozens of reports of allergic reactions during intercourse. In at least 6 cases, mostly women, the reaction has been life-threatening. In 1994, reports describe how a male patient reacts to a lubricant latex condom. After using the product, the husband experienced redness, itchy of the penis. Steroid creams was applied, and there's a little subtitle here about, say sex here. I'm not gonna read that. Barley was taken, or Banderade was taken. If that's how I pronounce it. 4 hours later, the husband's penis and scrotum were swollen 3 to 4 times the normal size. Ooh, ooh, god damn! Did not know that. Oh, I gotta take a sip. This is crazy. This is crazy. Understandably, I have to be cautious. In a retelling of this anecdote, to some men who might perhaps be somewhat lacking in self-esteem, they might run out and put on a dozen latex condoms to bolster their own inadequacy. But the issue of latex allergies cannot be taken lightly, especially when the rapid growing number of demonstrable latex sensitivity people is considering. Pause for a second. I'm going to pause that for a second. All right, let's continue. And let me. Just 4 years ago, in March 1991, that's 10 years when they really started to proclaim this disease as AIDS, or actually 11 years now, because it came out in 1980. When the FDA issued its medical alerts about latex containing medical devices, the prevalence of latex sensitivity among surgical persona was reported a 6% to 7%, and the prevalence among spinal bifida patients was 18% to 40%. Now rates from 10% to 17% are being reported for healthcare workers and from 30% to 6% for spinal baffling patients. About 1% to 2% of the general population has been through to have a latex sensitivity. But now that numbers might be much higher, say Terry G. Murray, PhD at the Allergic Analysis Center in Birmingham, England, of more than 1,000 random blood samples he took from the general population, 7.7% demonstrate the presence of allergic antibodies to latex. He said a similar test was undertaken at the Henry Ford Hospital in Detroit, with 6.6% of, and it is a number, surprising, blood. I think it's all three zeros or whatever. Samples from health people showing antibodies to latex. Research has predicted that latex allergies would continue to grow because it is a disorder that builds up over time. And because so many latex products are sold to consumers, other products in addition to latex condoms and gloves, which have contributed to the looming health disasters, including medical devices, contraceptives, and diagrams, and cervical caps, balloons, tennis shoe soles, tires, underwear, legs and wrist bands, toys, and nipple and pacifiers. Oh, and nipples and pacifiers. Yeah, well, it should be on pacifiers by anyway. Much of the problems with growing latex allergies is attributed to poor quality control in the latex industries. With the advent of AIDS hysteria in the 1980s, the latex industries rapidly increased its production, and during this expansion, quality control suffers at the hands of potential windfalls profits. Latex is extracted from rubber trees after the tree is slashed with a machete, and the tree is living biologically entity and has an immune reaction. Thus, the tree antibiotics properties, which latex sap are antibiotic properties to protect itself from the immune challenge. According to the AIDS alert articles, the more a tree is blended, the more it tries to protect itself by producing extra proteins, and it's these proteins that trigger the proteins in humans. It is believed that these proteins downgrade over time, but that the rush to increase production and distribution compromise the stabilizations. Further, the latex sap is very unstable and is treating immediately with chemicals such as ammonia to keep it from collagen. These chemicals are believed to add to the problem of allergies to latex proteins. While there are other problems with the powder used to act as a dry lubricant on latex condoms and gloves, one of the effects of these powders include tax and cornstarch is that they compound the risk of latex allergies. A recent article sent to me by a researcher who has come across my pronouncements on this deadly latex condom containing the following warning about these contaminants. It seems what is pronounced incus put powder on latex gloves. Incus. I think that's how they pronounce it. A hurry hospital worker could pull them on a more easily, but scientists now say that powder dust spreads life-threatening latex allergens, strong enough that a few whiffs have sent nurses into a shock. A consumer group urged the government Wednesday to ban powder latex gloves. An estimated 8% of the nation's 7 million health care workers have latex allergies that can cause reaction range from itching and hives to difficult breathing and life-threatening shocks. In the last year, the FDA has received 305 reports of serious reactions to latex gloves. Powered and powder-free, and Oregon tries to ban powder gloves after a nurse and there died. Gloves makers successfully fought the ban but are facing lawsuits in other states by allergic health care workers who lost their job. When one considered the use of such a toxic substance as latex in a woman's most delicate and sensitive body organs, then you could understand why there should be cause for alarm. Further compounds the problem is that latex is a aversive substance. Trust, in an insensitive manner, the latex condoms come in contact with a delicate tissue of a woman's vagina, especially a teenager girl. As a result, it can frequently lead to small tears or abrasions in the vagina lining, a condition which could be viscerous called peritonitis, vaginitis, or pelvic inflammatory disease, peritonitis. Ooh, damn, I did not know that. Well, that makes sense. It makes a lot of sense because remember, when a woman is being penetrated by a phallus or any object, she is going to experience some pushing and eventually tears to the wall. A lot of young people don't know that, or young men or men don't know when you push your phallus in a vagina wall, which one of my friends told me it got teeth. You're actually ripping and tearing her wall. For those that don't know. So what happens when you're taking a foreign object in your phallus, and you put it inside of it, and then you're sticking it in her while she experiences tearing? It's spreading the chemicals. So that's something to think about. One second. Let me do this. Hold on. All right, let's keep going. In addition, though, these breaks in her flesh immune challenge agents can gain direct access to a woman's bloodstream. This immune assault might potentially come from bacteria, viruses. If viruses are the dangerous pathogens that are widely claimed, there is a reason for doubt here. Chemicals used in the process of latex proteins emulsion and the coat of condoms, spermicide, mycobacterium spores, and other potential trouble agents. I'll speak more on some of these other toxins later in this report. The dangers of such a direct infusion into the bloodstream of young women from such potential toxic agents should be obvious. One of the dangers I frequently point out is that the results of aggressive antibody productions as the body immune system fights to protect the person from such toxic invasions. Eventually, this antibody production can become so pervasive that the person could test positive for antibodies to non-specific immune assay testing, such as troubled HIV antibodies tests. Later in this chapter, I have much more disturbing revelations on these immunobody assay tests. I want you to recall here that the abrasive latex condom can and does exacerbate the production of antibodies. Again, it is an assault on the immune system. That's the end of chapter 3. Oh, what's good? Hello. How you doing? Does my vibe sound good and clear? All right. Let me know. That was the end of chapter 3 for those that don't know. Hold on. And someone say hi. Hello. All right. We're going to look in chapter 4 a second. Before I continue on, make sure you guys that's on the stream hit the like button and subscribe to the channel and, like the stream. It go a long way when you hit the like button. Just give me one moment, guys. All right. That was a brief moment. Okay, so now we're going to continue. We're going to go into chapter 4 now. And before I go to chapter 4, let me just double check something. As you know, guys, I'm multitasking here. All right. Okay. All right. Let's continue, guys. Chapter 4. Oh, for those that's writing in the comment section, make sure you write something. Anyway, chapter 4, latex and talcs, or TALC, tax. In 2 landmark cases during 2016, this law firm won $72 million and $555 million in damages on behalf of women who suffer from ovarian cancer after using Johnson baby powder. Oh, we knew about that. I'm not reading that. I should have catch it. But anyway, y'all heard about the suit and people that won and got their money. Recipes for cancer and sterilizing. In March of 1995, a clip from the page of the Los Angeles Times, an article that became one of the most powerful new pieces in my anti-latex condoms arsenal. It read in part, particles of tax used as a lubricant on a latex condom can enter a woman's body during intercourse and irritate tissues, potentially causing infertility and cancer, a researcher said Tuesday. In a letter published in the Journal of American Medical Assistance and sent to several condom manufacturers, Dallas dermatopathy Kenneth Casper said she found various amount of tax or magnesium silicate or silicated on every brand of condom she bought on store shelves. My concern is that when it gets in a fallopian tube, if there is any inflammation at all, it can form a gonorrhea or gramolia. I think that's a gonorrhea. And that causes blockage of the tubes. Casper said in a telephone interview, previous research has highlighted isolate cause of pre-tomosis and inflammation of membranes that may have been caused by tax on a condom. Casper said, as well as studies shown coating on condoms can in or insonifly and travel up the fallopian tubes to the ovaries. I have collected numerous articles to date to confirm the devastating revelation from within this Time article. And that is saying a lot. That is really saying a lot. Make sure you guys hit the like button. I have collected numerous articles to date to confirm the devastating revelation from within these Time articles. The more reports I collect on the impact of magnesium silicate on condoms, the more frightened the potential impact. I ask the readers to bear with me as I lay out these seemingly disconnect aspects of the latex condoms risk. When the various parts of the puzzle are eventually placed in the proper perspective, you could likely agree with me that the impact from the widespread usage of latex condoms is for more damage than even what the mainstream establishments say about the so-called AIDS virus. Another article which highlights the research of Dr. Candace Casper, MD, along with her Dallas-based collagen PJ Chandler, appears in the Nutritional Health Review in 1995 and read in part. Tax is a dry lubricant is present on the surface of the conceptive, and when it is introduced into the female reproductive tracts, it may result in a fallopian tube fibrosis with resulting infertility. Infertility. The harmful effects of tax on human tissue was first recognized in the 1930s. Oh, that was like now 96 years ago. With post-property gonorrhoeas, pretomosis, and fibrosis adhesions were casually linked to surgical glove donning powders, and the research note tax is no longer using for surgical gloves donning powder, but it is still used as a surface lubricant on most condoms manufacturers in the United States and abroad. The author concludes by warning that if tax contributes to ovarian carcinoma or fallopian tube cirrhosis, they predict a significant increase of the incidence of these ailments. Dr. Casper and Chandler appear to makers of concept to recognize the probability hazard inflicting on the public by their use of tax. The series of letters of the Journal of American Medical Association was exchanged between doctors Casper and Chandler and Mayer Laboratories, Inc., manufacturers of Kimo and Sagami brands condoms, highlight this debate. Additionally, this exchange exposed the failure of the condom industry to remove certain potential toxins, contaminants from its manufacture process. After the warning has been issued, response to a communique from Mayer Lab and starts. We support all efforts to eliminate these use of tax in the manufacture of latex condoms. Because there may be pathogens consequence from exposure to tax, Casper and Chandler had the following to reveal. In reply, we appreciate the interest of Mayer Laboratories in tax-free condoms. In recent communication, we request specific identifications and profits of safety of all substance placed on the surface of Kimon and Sagami condoms. For propriety reasons, they decline our request. We are confident that the material we describe is tax. Therefore, the burden of proof rests with Mayer Laboratories to identify the needed shape birefringent particles we observe of the surface of these condoms. Response in the same JMAA communications to a protest received from London International Manufacturers of Ramses condoms, named after the great pharaohic lineage from ancient Egypt. The research had the following to say, and this is what they said, and this is what they quote. In our letter, we indicate that the small amounts of tax observed on Ramses condoms might represent contaminants. However, London International and the manufacturer of Ramses condoms deny using tax in condoms production. Although we accept their assurance that tax is not internationally used during condom production, we also maintain that the needle-shaped crystals were identified are tax presenting either as an alternative or adulterating in one of the many regimens used during manufactures or package or in the form of airborne contaminants from tax used elsewhere in the faculties or facilities. We have examined more than 15 Ramses condoms from various lots. In addition, the cornstarch and rare tack particles, each condom contains numerous lycopodium spores. Spores of the club Moses, Lycopodium calventrumum, were used as absorbents in surgical gloves, donning powder in the early 1900s. However, this application was abandoned because Lycopodium induced granulomas, tumors, and peritoneal abrasions or adhesions. However, Lycopodium preparations may be contaminated with tax sulfite and of glyphosine or glyphosate. London International use of this biotechnical on Ramses condoms may have resulted in the inadvertent introduction of tax, thus explained. And if I'm using big words or butchering words, I do apologize. Mind you, this is for educational purpose only. And in this book, it uses big words, language, to hone in on the point of things that affect you body-wise. So don't take offense. Our observation of tax on our products, we are unaware of any lycopodium associated cancerous risk. However, because these spores can induce granulomatous inflammation of soft tissues, we object to their use of condoms or use on condoms. All right, let me see. Okay. At least 30 scientific studies have supported the linkage between talcum powder and ovarian cancer. One such article, which appeared in March 1997 in U.S. News and World Reports, cover a recent study published in the American Journal of Epidemiology highlighting a possible ties between talcum powders and ovarian cancers. Long suspect because the talcum chemicals similarities to asbestos. The U.S. news article written by Suzanne Brink associated the increase of ovarian cancers to the use of talcum powders in feminine deodorant sprays and talcum powders. Thus, Brinks notes that condoms often dust with talcum powder in packages were not studied. Further, she highlights the alarming possibilities that the widespread usage of talcum powder on female babies could be tied to future development of ovarian cancer upon maturation and absolute frightening possibilities. A similar article in the Journal of Obstetric and Genealogical from May of 1996 raised the link between exposure to tox and ovarian cancer. The use of powder with tox on prenatal tissues may enable tox to migrate into upper genital tract tissues. Prenatal tox exposed has been linked with ovarian cancer, with the risk of cancer increasing with the amount of exposure. The research analyzed ovarian from 24 women whose ovaries were removed for non-cancerous reasons. For the presence of tox, ovaries of all 24 women contain tox as detected by light or electronic microscopes. Tox is related to asbestos and substance known to cause cancer. Asbestos. That's how you pronounce it. From these and other scientific articles, I have collected these and that expose this relationship between tox used in condoms and in feminine hygiene products. I have become convinced that women are being unwittingly sterilized through exposure or through such exposure. Later in this report, I will lay out evidence of links this process with emerge of the new ST diagnosis of chlamydia beginning in the mid-1980s, which conclude with the onset of the safe sex propaganda campaign. But before I could do that, I must point out more contaminants. There's more. My God, there's more. Oh, here's an interesting one. Are spermicides safe? Consider, if you would, that word spermicide. Does it remind you of similar terms like homicide, suicide, femicide, fratricide, and genocide? Common to these various words are suffix "cide," which is defined as a killer. Did not know that. Did not know that. Same time that thing with a CID, it means killer. Thus, we can interpret that the same spermicides mean to kill sperm cells might have a similar effect on the cells that make up a woman's reproductive tract. Sometimes it seems that some of the most damaging information we might access is directly in front of our face the entire time, but too many of us have become desensitized to common central reasons. The question before us are as simple as this: are spermicides safety? Do they contain ingredients that, along or in combination, might cause detrimental effects on the human body? Whew. Some people will have a most difficult time believing that agencies of the U.S. government, such as National Institute of Health, Food and Drug Administration, or Center of Disease Control and Prevention, would deliberately allow substance to be used on consumptible products which could cause injury to unsuspecting users. Yet this belief is contradicted by readily available information. I will cite two examples, even though those of the literature I have collected over many years. I could cite dozens of similar shocking examples where such tolerance of toxins exposed is commonplace. First, if you are one of millions of Americans consumers of the leading commercial brand of toothpaste that contains sodium fluoride, then perhaps you have not noticed the fine print on the back of your toothpaste tube, which states, "Warning: keep out the reach of children under 6 years and old. 6 years of age. If you accidentally swallow more than used for brushing, seek professional help or contact a poison control center immediately." This warning means exactly as it reads and means exactly what it means. The stuff is full of rat poison, sodium fluoride, yet many of us have bought it for years, even or given to our children, and thinks that little about the risk of using such a toxic substance. After all, everybody else use it too, don't they? With a big question mark. Don't they? Yes, they do. And there's dangers to that. We don't know. Toxic heavy metals, commercials, and reactive waste are being recycled as fertilizer and spread over farmers' fields nationwide, and there is no federal law required that they use or they be listed as ingredients and to Seattle Times report. Use of industrial waste as fertilizers ingredients is a growing national phenomenon. The Times reports a Gora Oka, a uranium process plant, gets rid of low-level radioactive waste by licensing it as a liquid fertilizer and spraying it over 9,000 acres of grazed land. At Camas Wash, lace waste from a pulp mill is hauled to farms and spread over crops destined for livestock feeding. Oh my God, did not know that. The substance found in recycled fertilizer, including cadmium, lead, arsenic, radioactive materials, and dosic. The Times report that waste comes from incineration of medical and municipal waste and from heavy industries. Having demonstrated that such a damning precedent has been established, let us turn our attention to the issues of spermicide. One of the key components of spermicide is polymorphin. Hundreds of millions of pounds of polymorphin and related compounds are used annually in package, including food package, other plastic products, and cleaning agents, wrote Dartmouth Environment Professor Darnella H. Meadows in a review of Theo Calbron books Are Stolen Features. Mello writes, and this is what he writes. The book pulls together an astounding number of research finds about industrial chemicals that act like hormones called endocrine disruptors. They can either block or falsely stimulate cell wall receptors, turning secretion, metabolism, or replication on or off. The evidence suggests that endocrine disruptors are the cause of falling human sperm counts, female birds that act like male alligators with shrunken penises, and birth defects or reproductive failures, and everything from polar bears to Great Lake fish. Jessica Snyder, such writing in McCall, cites the groundbreaking and disturbing works of cellular biologists Anna Soto and Carlos Sana-Chin as they inevitably discovered the effects of estrogen, endocrine disruption chemicals, and the simulation of the growth of breast cancer cells in their laboratories. Eventually, they came to identify a host of chemicals which either mimics the activity of estrogen hormones in humans or block the activity. Among the chemical suspects of causing this effects are plastic PCB, organomorphic such as DDT, and DDE, dioxin, and neopoleon used in the industries. Detergent and in plastic stabilizer, as well as spermicide and cosmetics, contrary qualities of these chemicals was linked to various reproductive disorders such as breast and urinary cancers or urethral cancers. Lower sperm counts and reports of EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, that fatal exposure of chemicals such as dioxin may significantly impair the immune system or lead to reproductive abnormalities of countless children in the developing countries. I must take a moment to focus on one of the particular negative consequences of the EDC highlighting. In the exception, as mentioned earlier, lower sperm counts for the typical male that thought that his sperm might be suffering from certain environmental exposures might be the farthest thing from the conscious mind. Yet some men will be obviously alarmed and attentively when the subject of our continued vermeil is at hand, and this subject of declined sperm counts is such a provocative topic. There has been numerous peer-reviewed scientific articles on the declined sperm counts within the most industrialized countries of the planet. However, occasionally an alarming headline managed to show up in mainstream news. For example, the Los Angeles Daily News features of a disturbing story of November 24th, 1997, under the headline "Huge Drops in Sperm Counts Reports." The article contains several shocking revelations. After years of conflicting studies and disputes about whether human sperm counts are decreasing or definite reports say the verdict is clear. Sperm counts in the United States and Europe have dropped enormously in the last 6 years. The reports found that sperm counts in the United States have fallen on an average of 1.5 per person per year, and the years since 1930, a far sharper decline that easier studies have found the drop in Europeans and twice as steady. Results were inconclusive for Asian, South American, and the rest of the world. Fallen sperm counts in the last half century, Department of Health epidemiologist Dr. Swan said, and are associated with higher rates of certain types of cancers of the male reproductive system and a growing number of usual birth defects, fertility rates in the United States. Although decline have not yet been associated with the lower sperm counts, several wildlife studies have found that in water contaminated with hormone disturbing plastic PCBs or other chemicals, some male fish do not develop proper genitalia. Ooh, I've been hearing about the water bottles and stuff. Yeah, that's something to look out for. Yeah, I agree with that. That's something to look out for. Hold on, guys. Yeah, that's something to look out for. Anyhow, let's continue. Sperm count studies show are found in Denmark, but holding constant in Finland. Denmark too is showing higher rates of testicular cancer and certain hormone-related birth defects. One study in London showed falling sperm counts in the one water district, one high in metabolic found in oral concept and constant sperm patterns in other water districts. We had established early in this chapter the causal link between tax used as a dry lubricant on latex condoms and ovarian cancer. Now we have found a similar link between showing lower sperm count, urinal and breast cancer reproductive abnormalities, and endocrine disruptor chemicals and spermicide. This risk exposed combination with allergic latex proteins tear in the vaginal lining caused by the abrasions materials contaminating by leptins spores, which can cause bacterial growth and develop a glomerulus tumors or glomerulus tumors. All this makes credible evidence for my claims that the latex condoms is a particularly troublesome concept device. Yet, if this latex condom is a risk device, as the evidence I have brought forward would indicate, one would be able to readily point the confirmatory data that such injuries occur on a wide scale. Conversely, if there were no evidence of such widespread damages, then we fundamentally hypothesis of the latex condom as a damaging concept. Devices would prove to be quite insufficient or insignificant. Sorry. If the latex condoms is indeed a killer, causing cancer, reproductive abnormalities, and sterilization, where is this damage showing up? That's the end of chapter 4. Yep, chapter 4 is done. We'll put a bookmark and pause right there. Hope you guys enjoyed this stream. Make sure you guys go back to replay of this and the other stream on the busted condom conspiracy. And as I end this stream, I'll play a nice little introduction commercial of this book, and it's up to you if you want to get the book. So for other than that, thank y'all guys. Take care.
This book exposes the hidden truths about latex condoms. Get your copy and discover the conspiracy.